He didn't change his diet. He didn't stop walking every morning. He didn't start any new medication. But something felt wrong. He was more tired than usual. His focus slipped. His connection with his partner, distant. And the oddest part? His feet started feeling colder. Not just from the weather, but deep down, something didn't feel right. The doctor said everything looked fine. But deep inside, he knew, it wasn't. Here's what no one talks about. The habits you formed decades ago, especially the private ones, may not be serving your body anymore. Not at this stage of life. Not after 60. There are silent ways your daily routines can drain you. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But slowly, one session, one evening, one decision at a time. And yes, even habits you thought were helping you relax or stay in touch with yourself, may actually be weakening circulation, lowering energy, and pulling intimacy away from your relationship like a thread you didn't even know was unraveling. This isn't about shame. It's not about judgment. It's about awareness, and protecting the quality of your life as your body changes. In today's video, we're diving into 5 specific masturbation mistakes that older men make, often unknowingly, that quietly interfere with blood flow, recovery, and emotional closeness. These aren't obvious signs. That's why they get missed. That's why they're dangerous. But by the end of this video, you'll know what to look for. And more importantly, how to shift those habits in a way that respects your body, honors your health, and supports real intimacy that still thrives with age. So stay with me. And if you believe learning about your body never stops, even in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, drop a comment below that says, "Still learning." And make sure you hit that subscribe button, too, because here at ElderTalks Daily, we go deep into the topics most people avoid. And we do it with honesty, compassion, and real solutions that matter. Mistake number 1, too much, too often without recovery. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong. In fact, Harold, 68, thought he was doing what every aging man should do to keep things working. A little solo time in the evening. Sometimes in the morning too. It became a routine. Familiar. Comforting. Even empowering. But after a few months, Harold started noticing something strange. He'd wake up more tired. Even after a full night's sleep. His thoughts. Sluggish. Conversations with his partner. Shorter. He chalked it up to stress or aging. Maybe just a rough patch. But there was more to it. What Harold didn't realize is that his body, especially his nervous system, was running on empty. Not because of some illness. Not because he was doing too little. But because he was doing too much, too often, without giving his body time to bounce back. Now, let's be clear. There's nothing inherently wrong with being sexually active at 60, 70, or even 80. In fact, healthy intimacy can be a sign of good overall health. The issue isn't the act, it's the frequency. As testosterone declines with age, the body's ability to recover after climax slows down. Your nervous system, your vascular system, your hormone levels, they all need longer recovery windows than they did in your 30s. Each time you climax, your brain releases a wave of dopamine, the feel-good hormone. But what follows that dopamine spike? A drop. A crash. And that crash is deeper and more draining the older you get. It's why many older men feel oddly tired, foggy, or emotionally flat the next day, and don't make the connection. What makes this tricky is that the habit feels helpful in the moment. You might say, it relaxes me. It helps me sleep. But here's what really happens for a lot of older men: instead of winding your system down, frequent stimulation, especially without rest, can spike cortisol instead of calming it. Cortisol is your stress hormone. An elevated cortisol before bed, it wrecks your sleep. You think you're relaxing, but your body stays wired. Your blood vessels tighten. Your recovery slows. And your energy? It stays stuck in low gear. This isn't about giving it up. It's about pacing. If you're doing it daily, and especially if you're feeling drained, foggy, or irritable, it might be time to check in with your rhythm. Try spacing things out. Give yourself at least 2 to 3 days in between. Use that time to see how your body and mood respond. Chances are, you'll notice more energy, clearer thoughts, and even better sensitivity when you return to it. You may even feel a deeper emotional connection with your partner, because you're not just reacting to habit, you're listening to your body. And remember, this is about recovery. Not restriction. You're not punishing your body. You're protecting it. But pacing is just one part of the story. Because even if your timing is right, the way you position your body during these private moments might be doing silent damage too, especially to your circulation. Let's get into that next. Mistake number 2, poor posture or numbing positions. This one sneaks up on most people. Not because it's painful, but because it's not, at first. You find a position that works. Maybe it's sitting on the edge of the bed. Or slouched down in your recliner while the TV hums in the background. You stay there. Comfortable, still, for 15-20 minutes, sometimes more. It feels routine. Private. Normal. But over time, something begins to shift. Your legs start tingling more often. Your feet stay cold, even with socks. You feel a strange numbness after climax, like the blood didn't flow all the way through. That's not just aging. That's compression. Mr. Lewis, 71, came into his doctor's office complaining about exactly that: cold feet, reduced sensation, even occasional pins and needles. He worried it was neuropathy. But a deeper look told a different story. The issue wasn't a disease. It was his position. See, the way you position yourself during solo activity affects blood flow more than you think, especially after 60, when arteries are less elastic and nerves are more sensitive to pressure. When you're hunched over, sitting on hard surfaces, or putting weight on your thighs or lower back for long stretches, you're compressing the pudendal nerve, the one responsible for genital sensation and pelvic circulation. You're also reducing blood flow to the very areas that need it most. And if you're sitting still in that same position day after day, especially on soft couches or without support, it compounds. And here's the catch: you won't always feel the damage while it's happening. It shows up later, as reduced sensation, slower recovery, weaker erections, or even lingering numbness. And yet, most men shrug it off. It's probably just age. It's no big deal. I've always done it this way. But here's the truth: your body has changed. And the positions that once felt harmless may now be choking off your blood flow in places where you can't afford to lose it. So what can you do? Adjust how you sit. Avoid slouching or curling your lower spine. Try reclining on your back with a small pillow under your knees to open up circulation. Use soft surfaces with firm support, and don't stay in one position too long, before or after. And after you're done, move around. Get the blood flowing again. Don't just sit there in stillness. Simple movement right after can reduce that lingering numbness and keep the vessels healthy. It's a small shift. But over time, it protects your nerves, your sensitivity, and your ability to stay connected to your body and your partner. Now, some men are careful about posture, and they space things out well. But then, they skip something so basic, so essential to aging skin health, it ends up causing more damage than they realize. Mistake number 3, overusing dry or harsh stimulation. Some habits stick around not because they're the best, but because they're familiar. You've done it the same way for years: no lotion, no cream, no help. Just friction. Maybe a rough tissue. Maybe nothing at all. And for a while, it worked. But what your skin could tolerate at 30 isn't what it can handle at 60 or 70, especially in the most sensitive parts of your body. That's what happened to George, 66. He started noticing irritation after his sessions. Redness. Sensitivity that lingered. Even light stinging when he urinated. He thought maybe it was an infection, or a soap allergy. But it wasn't. It was friction. Dry, repeated, skin-damaging friction. Here's the truth. As you age, your skin becomes thinner, less elastic, and slower to repair. The nerves just beneath the surface become more vulnerable to damage. Even small tears or repeated rubbing can cause microtrauma, the kind that doesn't bleed or blister, but slowly chips away at sensation, comfort, and confidence. And this isn't just a skin issue. That kind of repeated microdamage affects vascular response. How easily blood flows to the area, how quickly you become aroused, and how sensitive you remain over time. Yet many men still believe, I don't need lubricant. I've never used it before, so why start now? It's too messy, too weird, too unnatural. But what's really unnatural, is ignoring your body's changing needs. Especially when something as simple as the right kind of lubrication can preserve sensation, prevent injury, and actually make the experience more pleasurable, not less. Here's a practical shift: start using a gentle, water-based lubricant, one that's free of fragrances, menthol, or alcohol. Avoid petroleum products. They clog pores and can irritate sensitive skin. And skip anything labeled as warming or tingling. Those are chemical irritants dressed up as enhancements. Your skin doesn't need stimulation from a bottle. It needs protection. If you're already experiencing sensitivity, redness, or lingering soreness, take a break. Let the area heal. Give it a few days. Maybe even a week. And when you resume, do so with intention, not habit. Protect the skin. Respect the nerves. Because when you damage that tissue, even lightly, you're not just affecting the moment. You're affecting long-term circulation, response, and confidence. And here's something that often gets missed. Even men who do everything physically right, good pacing, good posture, proper care, still suffer from weakened intimacy. Why? Because of the one mistake that doesn't happen in the body. It happens in the relationship. Mistake number 4, hiding the habit from your partner. Let's be honest. For many men, especially those over 60, this part of life becomes private. Sometimes out of embarrassment. Sometimes to avoid a difficult conversation. And sometimes because, it just feels easier. But over time, that privacy can turn into secrecy. And that secrecy, it begins to take a toll. Charles, 70, had been married for over 40 years. He loved his wife deeply. But after retirement, their intimacy faded. He didn't want to burden her. Didn't want to make her feel guilty for not being in the mood. So he stopped initiating. Started handling things on his own. Quietly. Regularly. And to her, it looked like distance. Like rejection. She began to think he didn't find her attractive anymore. He felt ashamed. She felt unloved. Neither of them said a word. But behind the silence, something critical was happening. Not just emotionally, but physically. Emotional intimacy and blood circulation are directly connected. When your body senses emotional distance, when there's tension, guilt, avoidance, it activates your sympathetic nervous system. The fight or flight part. And what does that do? It constricts blood vessels, elevates stress hormones, and makes it harder to relax, not just mentally, but physically. This isn't just about feeling lonely. It's about how emotional disconnect weakens vascular response, slows recovery, and chips away at confidence, bit by bit. And here's what's most heartbreaking. So many couples assume it's just age. They quietly accept the distance. The missed touches. The empty spaces between them in bed. But the truth is, it's not always age. Sometimes, it's just that nobody is saying what needs to be said. And here's the thing, you don't have to talk about the act itself. You don't need charts, or explanations, or awkward apologies. But you do need honesty. A conversation that starts with something simple like, "I've noticed we've grown a little distant, and I miss us." That one sentence can open a door. And from there, you can walk back toward each other, one honest step at a time. Because when you reconnect emotionally, something else starts to return too: confidence. Circulation. A sense of safety in your body. And the best part? You don't have to give up your private time. You just stop hiding it. You make space for both kinds of connection, emotional and physical. And when they're in balance, everything starts working better. But if you've noticed discomfort after climax, or a strange burning, or trouble emptying your bladder completely, that might not be just emotional. It might be your body trying to warn you about something deeper. Mistake number 5, ignoring prostate warning signs. It starts small. A bit of pressure that lingers after climax. An urge to urinate that comes too quickly, or too often. A burning sensation. Maybe some dribbling. You tell yourself it's nothing. You're just getting older. It'll pass. This is normal, right? But when you brush it off day after day, year after year, what you're really doing is ignoring your body's alarm system. That's exactly what happened to Edwin, 72. For months, he felt a strange fullness after his sessions. He noticed it took longer to urinate. Sometimes the stream was weak. Sometimes it stopped and started. His wife noticed him waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom. He kept saying, "It's just my age. I've got an old man's bladder now." But it wasn't just that. A routine check finally revealed the truth: benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. An enlarged prostate pressing against his urethra. A silent problem that had been building for years. Now here's what's critical to understand. The prostate isn't just a men's health concern. It's part of your circulatory and reproductive system. And when it starts to swell, even slightly, it can disrupt blood flow, block fluid movement, cause painful climaxes, and even affect erections and bladder control. It's all connected. And yet, too many men ignore the warning signs, especially after solo activity. They feel discomfort or difficulty and think it's just part of aging. But sometimes, it's your body's way of saying, "Pay attention. I need help." There's no shame in checking in with a urologist. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. And the good news? Catching these signs early can prevent years of discomfort, confusion, and decline. You may just need a few small adjustments, a medication, a diet shift, or a change in daily habits. Sometimes, even reducing the frequency of stimulation and improving blood flow through posture and hydration can bring noticeable relief. But the key is to stop assuming it's nothing. Your prostate isn't just old. It's trying to tell you something. So if you feel pressure after climax, if your flow has changed, if you feel like something's off down there, don't ignore it. Because the sooner you listen, the sooner you can heal, fully, confidently, and with peace of mind. And with that, you now understand the 5 common mistakes that many older men unknowingly make. Mistakes that can quietly weaken circulation, disrupt intimacy, and lower your energy, not because you're broken, but because you've outgrown the habits you once relied on. You know what makes this conversation so hard? It's not the science. It's not the habits. It's not even the embarrassment. It's the grief. That quiet ache that comes from realizing your body isn't responding the way it used to. The way it once did so easily, without effort, without thought. And you start to wonder. Is this just the beginning of decline? But here's the truth, ignoring it doesn't protect your pride. It just delays healing. You can act like nothing's wrong. You can smile through it. You can pretend you're fine, until one day, you wake up and realize you've been living disconnected from yourself. From your partner. From the part of you that still longs for closeness, not just physically, but emotionally. And I want to say this gently, but directly, you don't need to carry this in silence. There's nothing weak about adapting. There's nothing shameful about shifting gears. This isn't about giving up your pleasure or passion. It's about learning to meet your body where it is now, not where it was 30 years ago. Because once you stop fighting change, once you stop resenting what's different, that's when peace shows up. That's when you begin to understand your body in a new, more intimate way. Not less pleasure. Not less connection. Just a different rhythm. A wiser rhythm. One where slower doesn't mean broken. One where gentler doesn't mean weaker. One where love isn't measured by performance, but by presence. And if something deep inside you has been whispering, something feels off, listen. Don't wait. Don't brush it off. Don't sit in silence with questions that deserve answers. Talk to someone. A doctor. A partner. A friend. Even here, with this community. You're not alone. And the beautiful part? When you make just a few small changes. When you listen to what your body's asking for instead of forcing what it can't give. You feel it. Not just in your health, but in your spirit. In your confidence. In the way your partner looks at you when they feel seen again. Because you haven't lost your ability to connect. You haven't lost your ability to be close. You're not too old. You're just in a new chapter, one that holds just as much potential as the last. You just have to turn the page. Let's take a breath together. And just go back over what we've learned. We talked about 5 subtle but serious mistakes that many men over 60 make when it comes to solo habits, often without realizing the toll it takes on circulation, energy, and intimacy. Heavy checkmark mistake number 1, overstimulation without recovery time, leaving your nervous system drained and your mood flat. Heavy checkmark mistake number 2, poor posture that restricts blood flow and creates numbness or discomfort. Heavy checkmark mistake number 3. Using dry or harsh methods that damage sensitive aging skin and blunt sensation. Heavy checkmark mistake number 4, hiding the habit from your partner, leading to emotional distance and silent guilt. Heavy checkmark mistake number 5, ignoring prostate symptoms that are really your body asking for help. If any of these sound familiar, know this, you're not failing. You're evolving. And now you've got the awareness to shift things before they go further. So here's my question to you, and I want you to really think about it. Have you noticed any of these changes in your body? In your relationship? In someone close to you? Because these experiences are more common than we think. But we don't talk about them, because nobody wants to go first. So let's change that, right here in this space. Backhand index pointing down, drop a comment below and simply write, still learning. That one line creates safety for others. It says, you're not alone. It invites a community of men and women to have honest conversations about aging with courage and care. And if this video brought you clarity, if it made you pause and reflect, if it helped you feel seen in a way most videos don't, then do me a favor, tap that subscribe button. Not for me. For you, so that every week, you have a place to return to. A place that talks about aging without shame. A place where you're not just counted, but valued. This is ElderTalks Daily. And this is the work we do here, one real conversation at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about your health. And thank you for having the courage to grow, even now. So stay open. Stay curious. And above all, stay gentle with yourself. Because aging isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of knowing yourself on a deeper level. We'll talk again soon.